Number 15. Nighttime in Russia. YouTube channel Illustrated Magazine published yet another crazy Russian video. In November of 2013, get ready for it. A highway in the darkness of night, some light music, headlights, the road, and then out of nowhere, why an enormous bundle of sticks blasted into the middle of the road at that moment. Who knows? All I know is that this driver is a pro. He kept his wits about him enough to not overcorrect, even though this clearly scared him as much as it did us, probably more so. Well, this could have been a falling branch or tree. The right side of the road seems to be clear of trees, and the branches appear to be chucked straight down onto the highway. This was certainly a terrifying event, and with no explanation, we may never know who threw those sticks. Number 14. Near overturn. This is another amazing yet scary save, published by Life Trucking in May of 2017. Watch as a car driving alongside a semi comes closer to loss of life than they likely ever imagined. As the two drive parallel down the highway, the semi is passing the vehicle when suddenly its cargo tips. The big rig goes up on its left wheels. Those in the car must have been surprised to see the semi nearly toppling onto them before the driver manages to return the big rig to its regular balance. Although surprisingly scary, the driver's magical maneuver is worth applauding. Number 13. Between two coal trucks. Eduardo Ortega published this scary episode in February of 2012. As you can see, it's a foggy day with limited visibility ahead. That is, until you spot two sets of headlights heading towards the driver, occupying both lanes. One of the truckers had attempted to pass the other, and was now in the dashcam driver's lane. Predicting a terrible incident waiting to happen, one of the opposite coal truck drivers slows down, veering off the roadway and onto the hard shoulder. The other doesn't seem to move out of the way in the slightest. Still, the expert trucker manages to thread the needle and make it through. The drive cam is even more entertaining, as you can see the driver look back in disbelief. He'd just come face to face with losing his life and saw the other side. Although he has himself to thank for a quick and clean maneuver. He could give the opposite trucker a pat on the back for his knee-jerk reaction in taking his big rig off the road and out of commission. Number 12. Russian truckers versus highway bandits. YouTuber somewhere in Russia published this roadside nightmare in September of 2012. In the video description he writes, author of the video stopped his truck on the road to change the wheel. 3 bandits in blue Lada tried to get $100 out of the trucker for crossing their territory. As you can see in the footage, the semi is idling, while the trucker is likely changing the wheel. As the YouTuber stated, you can see him walk up the road to pick up something off the ground, walk back and get in his vehicle as the phone rings. When he answers it, you see the blue Lada pull up alongside him. A man in a tracksuit approaches the driver's side door. Next, you hear the trucker radio for help, and soon enough, 2 other big rigs heed his call. Not sure what is said in the back and forth, but a little later, the driver exits his rig to confront the bandits alongside his fellow drivers, holding a metal pipe. He walks towards the group, which has grown from 1 to more than half a dozen. It seems some of these men are from the bandit group, while the others are truckers who have managed to block the Lada and its bandits in. Confrontation kicks off amongst the group after the would-be bandits have been thoroughly pummeled. About a half a dozen men are seen heaving the Lada, which is parked on the side of the road, until it rolls onto its roof. It's lucky the truckers banded together, because it seems they're better together. The bandits lost, this time. Number 11. Wrong way. This one is unfortunately fact, not fiction. On the northbound M40 in Oxfordshire, UK, someone was headed southbound, directly into traffic. The car and caravan, which were reported to have foreign plates, flew down a 5-mile stretch of the motorway. Other drivers swerved out of the way of the car/caravan combo. The Subaru Forester towing the caravan ended up driving into a couple vehicles, which took the life of one of the drivers, who was 30 years old, along with the driver and passenger of the Subaru, both in their 80s. The trucker's dashcam footage shows the Subaru heading in the opposite direction of all the other northbound vehicles at the time. Moments later, the ride would come to a sad end. Police were already on their way, having received reports that someone was driving the wrong way down the motorway, and then later receiving further updates about the event. Number 10. Nightmare Alley. This video, published by Dashcam Owners World in April of 2018, shows what it's like to cross paths with something not only unexpected, but altogether surreal. The driver is cruising across some back roads, no other light source in view but his own headlights, when all of a sudden, a woman dressed in white comes into view. On the ground, a dark streak draws a path to where she stands, as if something wet stains the road, and her right hand is making a jabbing motion. The driver screams in fright and quickly backs out of there, as the deranged woman wanders aimlessly towards him. He keeps backing away faster and faster until the ghost woman is no longer in view. Some commenters think this must be real. Others suggest that this lady is one of the black-eyed kids that you hear so much about. Still others think it was a prank gone too far. Whether real or not, if I ran into this at night, I would surely panic. Number 9. Crazy Face. Joe Rob TV showcases another fright in the dark. Published in September of 2017, Joe wrote that this happened around 9 p.m. at night, although he didn't mention the location. In the clip, Joe says that there was someone walking in the distance that looked incredibly sketchy. Then he spots him. He says the guy is just standing there beneath the sign at the side of the road. He flashes his brights and the figure finally comes into view. It appears to be a guy dressed in a black t-shirt and dark jeans. The driver says he seems to be wearing a mask. The mask isn't clear, but something does seem to be wrong with the drifter's face. And as the guy slowly drives past, the figure approaches, coming towards the passenger side door as the driver shouts in terror. Some YouTubers think this grotesque thing is a demon. Others, of course, think it's a prank. But one comment stood out from the rest. Eric Cantu Aguilar from Mexico City said he came searching for answers after seeing something similar. In his own words, "One day I was walking by the street with a friend of mine. We passed under a bridge and we both saw something identical to this being. He said he knows that most probably won't believe him, but finding the same type of figure online was strange. At least we know Joe got away from this pseudo-demon." After all, the video made it to the internet. Number 8. Bouncy Castle. Well, bouncy castles are good fun. There's no fun in games on the open road. Published by Lacarce in April of 2016, this dashcam shows the damage that a bouncy castle is capable of. Yet another savvy truck driver shows off his skills with quick enough reflexes and foresight to prevent something seriously bad from happening. The footage shows a nighttime drive along the busy interstate. Lots of folks are on the road, clipping away at a pretty steady pace. Then suddenly in the middle of one lane appears a large purple tarp, or what looks to be a deflated bouncy castle. The vehicle in front of the trucker goes around the obstacle, which appears on the I-40E near Nashville, Tennessee, according to the video's description. But instead of simply dodging the tarp like all the others flying down the interstate, the trucker pulls over, gets out of his car, and attempts to pull the object off the road and onto the shoulder. Apparently, the bouncy castle is pretty heavy, because the trucker has a hard time dragging it, while dozens of cars pass him by, unable to spare a thought to help. Regardless, he finally manages to remove it fully from the lane, get back in his truck, and is on his merry way again. Future drivers down the I-40E have this competent trucker to thank for his actions. Number 7. Robber Recovery. Red Pill published this clip in August of 2015 The semi's dashcam footage captures a man pull over his car in front of the big rig, which was parked on the side of the road. The trucker was apparently absent from the cab at the time, perhaps fixing a wheel. The man approaches the passenger's side door, likely scoping the semi out, and then seeing it's empty goes round to the driver's side. Soon the man is seen running back to his vehicle holding a bag. He pops into the passenger's side of the vehicle. That's when the truck driver spots him trying to get away with his valuables and races after him. The car attempts to drive off as the man chases, but he pauses for a moment, and for some unknown reason, the would-be robber throws the bag back out the passenger's side door, and the trucker retrieves it. Although it's unclear why the robbers didn't complete their takeoff with the bag, it doesn't seem like the driver was going to catch up with them. Maybe the sight of him was enough to scare the wits out of them. Number 6. Cut off. Trucker Clinton Rhodes, from the Otago region of New Zealand, captures lots of dashcam footage that would have you raging. Much of the footage he captures is near misses, but this one in particular could really have taken someone's life, or multiple someone's. As Rhodes drives steady, a car cuts him off to take an exit, missing his 34,000-liter petrol tanker by an inch. As you can see, the car was on the opposite side of the semi, before crossing sharply over into his lane. Rhodes notes that drivers are impatient with big rigs like his, and often won't wait for the passing zone, but just go right ahead and pass on double lines. A very scary incident avoided. Number 5. Mob mentality. We've talked about this event before in a previous video, but since then we've been able to uncover more footage of this extremely scary situation. A trucker is cruising down a dark highway at night with another trucker ahead of him. Suddenly, you hear the truck ahead blare its horn as the big rig swerves to avoid hitting a makeshift roadblock that a group set up. The roadblock is trees placed across the road. The group shines flashlights into the driver's eyes, likely hoping to blind them enough to stop the big rigs. Then they could go right ahead and take what they want. But no luck at this time, as both drivers and those ahead of them make it through. This happened in a port city in northern France, across the English Channel from Dover. This second video shows the same event to even more terrifying effect, as the dashcam of the first truck in the lineup captures the lead up to the event. More of the mob appear on the road, throwing rocks and branches and attempting to stop the driver. As the driver continues forward and stops the branch, he starts to back his big rig up, and that's when the mob starts shouting and throwing stones, thinking they've got him. And the sheer amount of people attacking is enough to make one fear for his life, but thankfully the driver doesn't let fear get to him. He blares his horn into the night, drives forward, and the men start jumping over the railings. He plows over the trees and is on his way again. Number 4. 18-wheeler. This first video appeared on Real TV in 2001. The uploader describes this footage writing, "This seems to happen more often than you might think. A truck driver might hear of a police pursuit coming his way via CB radio, and he might actually try to block the driver's path. In a situation like this, the suspect would definitely have his work cut out for him." The clip shows dashcam footage of a taken vehicle in Des Moines, Iowa. When a 14-year-old runaway purchased this vehicle with a forged check, the police soon caught up with him, but after they successfully pulled the young man over, ordering him to exit the car with his hands in the air, he peeled away and the chase was on. The police car starts off slow, lending the boy a bit of a lead. Soon he's driving at speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour, but the police are on it. It seems they've radioed a semi to their aid. You can see the runaway try to pass as the semi swerves into both lanes, blocking its path, but the runaway takes an off-ramp, which leads nowhere. He's then driving into fields, his vehicle spitting up dirt and grass as he peels off again. The detour somehow leads back to the highway, where the runaway is again blocked behind the semi. The boy's tire blows up and sparks are seen flying everywhere. He soon veers onto the shoulder, still trying to clear the semi. Finally, the chase comes to an end. The driver was of course taken into custody and sentenced for his actions. Number 3. Reckless driver. Why can't people just let truckers do their job? This crazy footage is from February of 2017. The footage shows why they were so worried. The big rig catches video of the truck driver just sitting in his white truck on the side of the road. Once the rig starts moving, he follows alongside. Then he pulls right in front of the semi. The trucker and his passenger wonder what in the world this guy is up to. The passenger suggests that possibly the man thinks the trucker cut him off, but the trucker thinks he's just deranged. For a long time the truck sits there, until the big rig backs up. The passenger tries to catch the white truck's license plate, but it's unclear through the rain and the distance. All the while the trucker continues to sit there, while other drivers fly past. Then suddenly, for no apparent reason, the white truck backs off and allows the big rig to pass, which it then does. The young man in the truck watches them, and as the passenger reported, he begins driving down the wrong side of the road, halting traffic. According to the trucker, the man was taken into custody and charged, so at least there's a happy ending. Number 2. Balancing Act. Published by Aaron Cox in July of 2017. This truck driver pulls off a big save after his truck almost tips over. Watch as the trucker defies gravity, as his back wheels lose traction for a moment after taking a turn too quickly, pulling it back in a way that certainly makes me a believer in this trucker's driving ability. The rig swings over, bouncing to the right before settling on solid ground again, coming to a stop. It's certainly both amazing and terrifying he was able to pull this off. Something tells me the chances of success with that maneuver are quite low. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person, so if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new video we upload every Tuesday. Number 1. Near Miss. Dashcam Owners Australia is a dedicated page to reckless driving and traffic incidents in, you guessed it, Australia. In the video you can see a truck just cruising along a highway. Nothing wrong about that. Then out of nowhere a car pulls onto the highway from a field. As you can see, the car isn't even traveling down a designated road. It appears to be making its own makeshift road across the grass, and without any regard to the safety of the semi-driver cruising down the highway, it pulls in front of it, nearly becoming flattened. Luckily, the truck driver was reactive enough to pull into the opposite lane, and even slightly off-road to avoid something bad from happening. But shortly after, you can see the car speed off in front of the big rig without a care in the world. I mean, you almost just took someone's life and your own, but no worries at all, right? Maybe that driver should have their license taken away. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!